What is up, guys? Doing another one down solo. Today, I'm doing Panic Room. I'm also doing things ever so slightly differently than I normally would be, in the sense that I'm not running my typical rogue build. Instead, I'm running a suited Kingpin build. Definitely been trying some different perk decks out after I made my perk deck credits. I was like, you know what, I need to give more of these perk decks some trials with some really kooky builds, because, you know, that's how you find good things. It's not always just by the pen and paper numbers. Sometimes you just gotta jump into the game and try out the crazy stuff, and sometimes the crazy stuff works. So I was trying out some various weapon loadouts with this build. However, I didn't really need, but having the stunning from the locomotive made it extremely useful for me to not die in like 2 or 3 shots in certain circumstances. So I love this build. I think I'm actually going to change from using Rogue and start using Kingpin more frequently in my serious runs. I'll probably still use Rogue depending on the heist, but this is definitely one of my more favorite options now. You know, essentially when my health is below 50%, or really just in general, I become invulnerable whenever I hit the injector, which is awesome. I also picked up Hostage Taker for this build so that I have a bit more health regen going on in the background while I'm kind of, you know, waiting around for my injector to recharge and so on. Overall, super fun perk deck to use. I've really enjoyed it. Lets me go really aggro in moments where I need to and push objectives when I want to, but at the same time I can hang back and stay safe. So it's nice. I think it's a good balance for my playstyle. I think it suits me really well. Dodge, of course, is still a wonderful, beautiful, mysterious thing, much like life. And I'll probably still use it, like I said. I just really want to, you know, start changing up builds that I'm using, weapon loadouts that I'm using, and so forth, just to keep things from getting stale. However, for this heist in particular, I really wanted to have my Flaming Loco and Cavity set up. So, but definitely no harm, no foul. Definitely a fun setup, and I greatly enjoy using it. I think it's a lot of fun. I also picked up drill skills for this particular variation of the build. My first variation didn't have drill skills on it, but I felt like they moved things along a little bit faster in this section of the heist, so I just wanted to go ahead and throw those on there. The saw that's directly in front of me that I'm about to place feels like it always has a really weird detection box for me. Like I have to maneuver around in the craziest ways before I can actually get the stupid thing to get placed. Because I want to place it while I'm standing kind of behind the wall, but it forces me to walk out in the open, so that's kind of a bummer. I also, throughout the heist, will pick up various bags of coke. I'm not exactly sure how many I end up getting, or if I end up getting them all. I tried to get them all if I possibly could. Got kind of caught on the door there, so I went down before I could zip into the adjacent room. So that is one of the downsides of using Kingpin. If you get caught with your pants down for even a second, you know, it can potentially be absolutely disastrous. I mean, the same thing can happen with dodge, of course, as well, if it doesn't agree, but at least you have the chance of completely negating damage. But you also get the choice with Kingpin to say, okay, for the next 6 seconds I'm going into invulnerable mode, so I can do whatever it is I need to do and go on with my life, which is really great. I actually think it's a pretty well balanced perk deck. Using it on lower difficulties, I noticed I don't feel nearly as invulnerable due to the damage output of enemies on OD, and how much it heals you every time you get shot. So I think it's actually, even though it's obviously one of the best perk decks, I also think it's a pretty well balanced one across the board. Of course, that's just an opinion. Other people might feel differently. I haven't extensively used it on lower difficulties. I've only used it a handful of times, and that's before I had a little bit of practice with it and was doing one-down runs with it. So, anyway. I'm going to be, well, this particular perk deck forces me to play a bit more safe in areas that I normally wouldn't, just because I'm, of course, before I can trying to move in certain areas. I think that's a key distinction to make. In certain areas, in certain circumstances, forcing a movement whenever you don't have your injector charged can be certain death. So I definitely want to play it safe in certain circumstances. So I have to think a lot more about positioning and how I'm like, okay, if I go in this room, can I get pinned in the next 30 seconds or so before I'm able to activate my injector and leave this room for sure without being able to, you know, be killed, or at least have a very high chance of not getting killed. I have been killed while the injector is up. I say, you know, like 6 seconds of invulnerability, and that's kind of not necessarily tongue-in-cheek. It's not exactly false either. I feel like it should probably just say you have a 99% dodge chance and sporadic healing regen. And it basically be the same perk deck. You know, it's pretty great. Anyway. So yeah, like I said, I'm just going to pick up random coke bags throughout this heist. I'm pretty sure I got them all. I can't put all loot in the title, sadly, because tried to get out of the way of that flashbang so it didn't, well, blind me, obviously. And so I probably can't put all loot in the title because I didn't get the toothbrush and stuff like that, which of course is considered a loot bag on this heist. So I was a bit bummed I didn't get to do that, but I was glad that I did grab some extra loot bags. That's something that always makes me smile. Money is completely arbitrary and pointless at this point, or at the point in time that I'm at, you know. I mean, I have so much of it and there's like nothing to spend it on. And honestly, that's okay. I like getting the extra loot bags, just because it puts a smile on my face. There's something so satisfying about actually stealing things in a game where you're meant to heist and steal things. So, and it adds a little bit of extra layer to the challenge, like, hey, while I'm supposed to be surviving and playing it safe, I'm going to run these bags while I have time between objectives. So, we'll check at the end and see how many bags I get if I don't forget. I'll make a little note to myself really quickly, actually. There we go. So just kind of killing time, waiting for the drills to finish. Came into this room to get some money. Looks like a cop had started taking my money bag down there. I think I saw it shift a little bit, fall off the truck or whatever. If you hit certain angles and you like bounce the bags off of the walls adjacent to the building, you can actually bounce the coke bags down into the bed of the truck and secure them from inside the building. You just have to angle it just right and get those really sweet Kobe dunks going on. However, it's a lot harder on the side that I had the truck spawn on because you only have the graded walkway as opposed to having like an actual building side. The building side makes it really easy to get well, just use it as a backboard. Holy moly, my voice cracked so bad right then. To use it as a backboard. So, finally getting to the point where Bile is gonna start complaining about how snipers are pinning him down. One thing I really like about this perk deck in comparison to Anarchist is I don't feel like I get completely freaking obliterated by snipers every time I poke my head out of cover. That's one of my biggest issues with Anarchist is since you do have lower health, even though you have higher armor, particularly, you know, if you're running a suit, which of course I pretty much always run a suit. I'm definitely a fan of mobility. You know, wearing a suit and wearing Anarchist. A sniper, if they get the shot off on you, when of course your dodge chance is probably going to be incredibly low, they're more than likely just, you know, going to obliterate you in one shot. If you're lucky, they won't, but in most circumstances they're going to kill you in one shot, or the surrounding enemies will finish you off when you have like barely any health left after the initial shot. But Kingpin, with its health bonus as well as the injector, allow you to tank the shot, and the sniper will actually heal you to some degree depending on how much health you have when you start using the injector. So I definitely find that fun. It's a very, how would you say, it feels very rewarding in the sense that I don't feel like I get cheesed by snipers like I do with Anarchist, and I actually have to worry about getting surrounded, unlike where, of course I would get concerned about that when I'm running dodge, and I would get concerned about that. Was that the toothbrush underneath the freaking tub? Did I just see the toothbrush underneath the tub, or was I just seeing things? I'm not going to pause the video because that'll mess up the audio sync. But when I go back into this room, I want to see if I look down and if the freaking toothbrush is there. Because if it was right there and I missed it, I'm going to be so mad. Anyway, enough about that. Enough about me being salty. I didn't get to see when I ran back into the room. You guys can check in the video. You can scrub through like frame by frame using the period key and the apostrophe key or the comma key or whatever, so you guys can check, and I'll check later. Anyway. But yeah, I don't feel like I get cheesed by snipers, and I have to be more concerned about being surrounded by enemies and being in bad locations. This actually was a pretty bad location, in the sense that I didn't have an immediate way out. I pretty much would have to use my injector to force my way out of this room without taking it down. However, I was using the locomotive to, of course, keep the enemies at bay. I wasn't trying to kill nearly as many with the cavity, but I did want to try to get this medic out of my way with the cavity. I did want to get the objective done and push the snipers. However, in the circumstance I was in right here, I really just needed to take my chances. Jumped up onto the sink so I could avoid the flashbang again. Every time I think it's safe to poke my head out, I end up being wrong. I'm finally able to get a shot on that stupid sniper. He keeps, if you would notice, he would keep like ducking just below the lip of the building. The lip at the top of the building, and I wasn't able to hit him with my cavity. Cavity doesn't have that perfect accuracy, and so sometimes it takes a few pot shots before one finally goes in the direction that you're actually aiming. That's alright. Sometimes you feel like you waste Kingpin, or waste your injector, because you end up sprinting through an area and you don't get shot up at all, but of course it's always better to be safe than sorry. That is the exact opposite of what I usually say. Normally I would say, yeah, just run for it and just go, but, you know, in these circumstances, you know, with dodge there's the chance you won't go down. With Kingpin it's almost like guaranteed that you're going to go down. I'm trying to poke my head out and see if there are any snipers on that building. So, of course, the mentality, or my playstyle mentality, is different since I am running something that doesn't have a chance of avoiding damage while I'm not using its particular ability. You know, and that was a key thing I liked to mention, or I should have mentioned in my videos where I talked about, you know, my playstyle, and I believe I reference my big oil video a lot when I talk about how, you know, how I viewed my own playstyle and my the way I treated downs and how I looked at them as commodities, so I could push objectives and so forth. But of course, you know, that talk was centered around me using Rogue and using a dodge perk deck where there were chances, and generally have pretty decent chances, for me to not go down. Injector working its magic. And so, since my build is different and I am using a different perk deck, you know, my playstyle does have to change accordingly. And that was probably the hardest thing about doing these runs for the past day or so, is I've been trying to adjust my playstyle, because I'm so used to, you know, for one down solo, just running around, basically doing almost whatever I want, playing it safe when I'm at low health, you know, and all that good stuff. However, now I'm having to do it a little bit more cautiously. I still have bursts, which is why I like Kingpin. It allows me to have those, I guess you could say, rambunctious bursts. Where I'm just like, you know what, screw this crap. I'm going nuts for about 6 seconds and then get back into cover. I also feel like the time for Kingpin, I know this is basically a Kingpin commentary video over top of my Panic Room play, but up until this point there's not a whole lot of strategy going on. Just, it's moving into position at the right time, using the injector at the right time, killing snipers at the right time, at least for this part. So, anyway. Locomotive is definitely good in situations like this. Normally if I didn't have a stunning tool or like a grenade launcher, I wouldn't have been able to deal with those enemies nearly as quickly. And so I probably would have got 1 or 2 shots. I was able to activate my injector just before that guy double tapped me. You have to be very conscientious. Why do I always mess up that word? I never just say aware instead, because it's a much easier word to say, but conscientious is... I messed it up again. Whatever. Anyway, you usually have to be pretty aware and ready to just mash your injector button like a panic button whenever your health is really low, because you'll just get obliterated in a shot or two. And so, that's definitely something to be aware of. It's not nearly as bad if you're using like an ICTV, because you have that little bit of cushion. But of course I am running suit for the mobility, and I just find it to be so much fun, and I find it to be so rewarding when I play well and when I do it right. You know, with dodge, it's usually rewarding in the sense that, man, I just got really lucky. Or, man, I made some good movement choices and, you know, picked my spots really well. And with this, I also have those moments of, man, I picked my spots really well. But there's also those moments of tension where I'm like, I could be in a really bad situation that I just can't get out of, and I'm going to have to go down here. And then, you know, using my injector at the right times, it's so much fun. It's put it a little bit more spark back into these runs. Not that there wasn't sparks to begin with. I definitely love and enjoy doing these runs, but I also like trying out new things, which is why I do my Goofy Builds videos. I had one that a Goofy Builds video I recorded shortly after I did this run, and it was, oh gosh, I was so looking forward to doing that. It was a bunch of fun. There was a few enemies right here, and somehow I actually didn't get lit up as much as I thought I was going to before I snuck into the downstairs. My convert was keeping everybody upstairs for the most part. Taser was kept in the recovery animation from the flames long enough for me to finish putting down that C4 so it didn't tase me, which is pretty nice. Luckily that sniper didn't just obliterate me. Not sure if he would have with that amount of health. He probably would have, if I'm not mistaken. So, thankfully he hadn't locked onto me quite yet. I'm trying to find out where this sniper is so I can go ahead and take him out before he's a problem later. Of course I was trying to put some C4 down. I knew at this point I needed to go back up and get more C4, but of course I was going to try to wait until my injector refreshed. I kind of get pinned in this room for just a second or two. I'm trying to walk around and take cover until I can turn my injector on so I can get out of there. Thankfully I was able to back myself out here, and then I was like, oh, that's a bad spot, and then I had to back myself over here. So this moment, or this little situation got a little hairy, because I was still waiting for my injector to come up, and medics were healing people, and I just got bad. Oh, I guess not nearly as bad as I thought. I thought it got a lot worse. Never mind. Maybe I'm about to speak too soon. Who knows? I'm trying to fight my way out of this situation. Get these guys as hostages, because I didn't know if my converteds were going to be dead yet or not. Of course, now I'm definitely in a pickle because I'm in a room, pinned, no way out. I am able to convert this guy to have him fight for me, so that's pretty nice. But I definitely am not in a position I would like to be in. But I only have 8 more seconds left to wait, more or less. So, but my convert was trying to hide behind the boxes with me, so I kind of had to... Aww, stupid medic. Jumping in from behind. Ain't even right. Oh well. I definitely wasn't prepared for a medic to jump in behind me. If I would have had the foresight, I would have boarded up the windows with the planks that I have on me, but I didn't think of it. And that guy came by and got me as I was hitting the medic bag. I wasn't ready to hit my injector. So it kind of took a silly down right there while I just had my pants down. Had to use the dock bag again. Wasn't very pleased about it, but, you know, it just happens. It's not a big deal. Now that I'm finally able to get out of the room, I decided now is a good time to run up to the top of the building and try to pick up my remaining C4. However, there's a few shields. There's just a handful of shields in my way. But thankfully we're too busy with my converts to care about me. I just went ahead and decided to throw my boards on here, not really for any particular reason. I was hoping the dozers wouldn't bolt around the stairs before I could get my injector ready. Didn't use my injector because I thought I was going to be able to get a bullseye proc. Didn't work quite like I wanted, so I was a little bummed about that. And there also, one thing that also kind of irritates me is I'll use my injector occasionally after I use my, after I go into Swan Song. It's kind of aggravating because it still has to go through a cooldown. I don't know if the cooldown is as long. It doesn't feel like it's ever as long. However, it is still slightly frustrating that as soon as I go into Swan Song, I end up burning my injector and then have to wait a few seconds after I come out of Swan Song in order for it to be able to be used again. But it's not a big deal. I just wish there was a feature where it was like, oh, you can't use this while you're in Swan Song because it literally serves no freaking purpose. Decided to go out here and use my invulnerability to place some C4 down. Had just enough time to do that and then get behind cover. One convert was sitting down in the room below. I'm not quite sure what he was doing. I think he got locked there. I suffered from enemies getting locked in positions pretty frequently on this heist. This guy wasn't wanting to get into his caught on fire animation, so he almost killed me there. Went ahead and burned my injector right here because I thought I was going to be out in the open. And I mean, I was, but I didn't take any shots. But again, better safe than sorry, especially when running something that is as potentially frail as someone running Kingpin without using their injector. Not to say that a person who does that is necessarily frail, because you have, like, I'm not sure on the exact health value, especially when you're counting converts into the equation, but it's stupid shield. Stupid shield. I forgot all about that. I'm just minding my own business, placing explosives on the side of a house, and he just comes in and bullies me down the street, or down the hallway. I don't know why I call it a street. Doesn't matter. It's an analogy, okay? But I'm not sure the exact health value after having jokers, because I do have the skill that increases my health. Joker ace, if I'm not mistaken. I'll look at the values later. But anyway, you're at a pretty sizable health with the combination of Kingpin and with you know, all converted skills and things like that. So it's definitely not like you're frail. However, on one down, you really only get just that little bit of extra cushion to your health. You know, another shot or two, maybe 3, depending on enemy distance and angle. So, well, I say 2 or 3. In some instances, it can save you a lot of. It can get you a lot of extra shots taken, you know, in comparison to normal. But I didn't have bag throwing skills on this build in particular, since I had to sacrifice some points in order to pick up the necessary drill skills, or what I consider necessary drill skills for this heist. So I'm not able to even attempt to knock those bags off the catwalk into the truck. But the way was pretty clear down here. I was able to light this guy on fire and even take him, or get him to like the second stage of domination before I think I just left him like that, honestly. I don't think I took him as a hostage. I think I tried to, but he was just like, nah, I don't feel like cooperating, so. Kind of poked around looking for the toothbrush at this point, maybe hoping I would just kind of stumble across it. I wasn't looking in all the spawn areas or anything like that. Again, just poking around, seeing if I could find it while the assault wave was kind of calming down. Stay back! Or at least while the enemies were primarily on top of the roof and slowly working their way down the building, but being distracted by my converts along the way. Or at least one. I'm pretty sure the other one is still just kind of piddling around in that side room, not really doing much of anything. Trying to check on my convert and see where his health values were at. Seeing if I was going to need to try to get another hostage soon so I could get another convert. Went ahead and tried to get my injector going so I could get those dozers killed. Definitely didn't want to deal with them. Or I wanted to deal with them, but I didn't want them to deal with me. I'll put it like that. So. Even though the objective says to get rid of all the cops on the roof, one of the easiest way I find to do it, instead of just fighting off hordes and waves of cops on top of the roof, is actually just to let the assault wave in, because that pretty much instantly changes the objective and says that you've completed it. So I'm just staying down here, either waiting for the assault wave to time out or for the enemies to slowly move down to me and just kind of pick them off as they spawn in small groups and move towards me. So. So I was hearing gunshots, and I was figuring one of my converts was fighting somebody, but at the same time I couldn't see where he was or who he was fighting or anything like that. So I'm not sure why I ran back. Oh, right, I had a bag on my back. I didn't even see that on my HUD for a second there for some reason. Went ahead and took that guy as hostage, just in case I might need him for later.
Face down! Hands up! Drop it now! I need your help! Help! Drop it! These guys are fucked. I hope I don't get shot here. Drop the gun! Drop it now! They've got a medic, guys! Medic, take it out! Cover me or I'm gone! Face down! Smart, listen to the man with the gun. These guys are drop the gun! Drop it now!
Trying to get this medic killed while I had some injector juice running so that I could oh no, I missed a coke bag back there. I wonder if I grab it. Anyway, I was trying to get the medic killed so I could wipe out these shields without having to worry about the medic constantly healing them. Also trying to see if I could take this other guy's convert still, see if my other convert had maybe died at some point.
Drop it now! Shield eliminated! Drop the gun!
Just bobbing in and out of cover, trying to light enemies on fire. A bit of a weird corner hitbox, or collision box on that desk wasn't allowing me to shoot past it. That's okay.
Hands up! Drop the gun! Drop it now! Hands up! Drop it now!
Assault wave ended, so the objective finally changed. Still trying to see if I can convert this enemy.
Good job! Coming in now. Put him up! Drop your gun! I'm lowering the winch. Hands where I can see it.
Started trying to move to the
Sniper there!
position so I could activate with the magnet. However, there were a few shields in the way that I had to eliminate first before I was able to proceed into the room safely.
Shield eliminated. Drop it!
They had the little shield conga line going, so I guess they were having a party while everybody else was trying to kill me. I'm not quite sure. Down in this position, I don't really have to expose myself to any kind of enemy fire coming from the roof. Probably the safest area to do it. Still trying to see if that other convert had died yet, but they hadn't. I just assumed that they had gotten stuck somewhere on the map, but at least I still had one convert following me. I'm usually fine so long as at least one convert is following me. However, if both get stuck, I usually get a little disappointed. Not because my converts aren't killing things, but because my converts aren't being shot at in my stead. Which is, you know, the primary reason I even bothered to pick up converts in the first place is it kind of lessens the amount of fire that I end up taking. So of course now just waiting for the objective to change again. Just kind of staying towards the bottom side of the house, waiting for Bile to give me the A-OK that I could go down to the sewer section and leave. Found another coke bag. Decided it was definitely imperative that I tried to get both of these bags. I guess I did end up missing the bag that was in the room, the large room that wraps around the side of the one side of the building that I was in earlier when I mentioned that I missed a coke bag. Which is sad. Again, I definitely would have liked to have been able to say that, you know, I got all loot while I was doing this, but, you know, I think getting most loot is still halfway decent. I want to try to integrate that into more runs too. You know, getting more loot bags than whatever's absolutely necessary, depending on the heist though. Some heists I don't want to because it's a complete pain in the butt, like transports. I don't want to waste time getting all the extra bags because I don't really want to. I want those runs to be as short as humanly possible. I think the only one I have left to do at this point, you know, bar train, which I don't really count, is do I find the bag? I do find the bag. What a happy ending. It's like a love story. Reunited with the Coke bag that I thought, or that thought I left it. Wow. It's true love. Jimmy would be proud. Good old Jimmy and all of his cocaine. Regardless. I forgot what I was even talking about a moment ago. So you're learning for the objective to change. Got reunited with the cocaine, but what happened right before that? It's so late in the night for me right now, and I'm not running on a whole lot of sleep, so I'm a little bit ditzy. So you'll have to forgive me. Wasn't necessarily getting concerned at this point. However, I was getting a little bit impatient due to the fact that my objective wasn't changing. Again, checking my hostage to see if I could get it converted. I remember what I was talking about. I was talking about the only transport I have to do aside from train heist, which I don't really, even though it says it's a transport, I don't count it as one of the main 5 transports because it's not in the same style, even though it's considered a transport heist. So I do still have that one to do, but I also have a Crossroads. Crossroads is the last one of the main 5 that I need to do. It's just kind of been a pain in the butt, and I really don't have a lot of fun when I'm doing that run, so I can only do like 1 attempt at a time, and if I fail, I'm like, well, I'll try it again tomorrow. I just really don't enjoy that heist. It's not a lot of fun. Not to me personally, anyway. Maybe it's because I've already done 4 one-down solos for other transports. And I'm just like, can I just stop playing this heist on one-down solo now? They're just bland. They're so boring. It's the same stuff. Nothing new or interesting happens. It's me running around with a saw, trying not to die, hoping I can get bags before I get eradicated. I enjoyed my park and harbor runs quite a bit, and my downtown one, but I enjoyed them for different reasons. You know, I enjoyed harbor and park because I was able to use the unique build I really hadn't done at that point yet. And then, well, the same for downtown because I used a suited anarchist build that just was working out pretty well. I was starting to run low on ammo, so I decided to use my injector to go out there and kind of swamp through some enemies so I could grab some ammo pickups and, you know, kill other enemies so other ammo pickups would be ready for me. Definitely didn't want to get caught by a dozer with like barely any cavity ammo because that would have been a recipe for disaster. Of course, right about when I'm going to grab all this extra, all these extra ammo pickups is right when Bile says I'm able to go. So, just for good measure, I go ahead and hit the ammo bag. Thankfully, I didn't die as I was trying to get away from those other cops. I go ahead and let my injector refresh itself the rest of the way before I charge out. Of course, the assault wave was ending right here as well, so.
Move it.
I was forced to use my injector right there because I definitely didn't want to risk perishing at this point. I still had one doctor. Whoa! Oops! Actually, I just kicked some stuff over. I still had one doctor bag left, so I wasn't too concerned about that. So, however, it seems like I go into fatal mode much easier when I'm using Kingpin. I don't know if that's just me having bad luck when I go down in the fatal mode, or I had a theory that I hypothesized that dodge is actually counted for when you are in fatal mode. So right here I went into Swan Song and decided to push through and go ahead and open this door up. I thought there were going to be gangsters in here for me to get Messiahs off of, and I was like, no, not right here, not like this, but I got a Messiah. Or, freaking, I mess that up in at least every video. I got a feign death. So, anyway, guys, there was my Panic Room 1 down solo. Have a quick look at my stats. I didn't see how many bags I got, even though I said I was going to look. I'm such a doofus. Anyway, guys, as usual, thank you so much for watching.